Hello everyone, it is I, Matsuda, here joined with the one and only Coleslaw, here to cast Unstoppable Pre-Made, Round 2, Week 1. And for today's Best of 3 series, we have EOD versus Omega Gaming Lunar. How are you doing, Coleslaw?
I'm doing really well, and I'm excited for this match. This is the first week we see the unstoppable teams outside of their original groups. So these are two teams that placed near the tops of the original groups they were in. Going head to head, we're going to start to get an idea of just how good the different groups in Unstoppable are going to compare. And that's kind of fun, you know? It makes it easy to say, well, this team had a better record, but maybe they had easier opponents. And so it's up in the air. We're going to have to find out which team's the favorite. It's hard to make an assessment, and that means that we should be in for some interesting League of Legends.
Yeah, definitely, as we are going straight into picks and bans here on EOD. We see the Echo and Evelyn ban coming in through, and OGL. I'm going to go ahead and ban out the Tristana and Kale. My assumption is that these are most likely just targets towards everyone's champion pool rather than, meta bans in general.
Yeah, we're at the ELO where comfort on champions trumps just general strength. When you see that Myopia is a Kale one trick with 73 games and a 62% win rate, and no other champion with more than 10 games in rank, you say, maybe we shouldn't give that guy Kale, and that's a pretty good decision. Tristana actually a ban for the mid lane, so it's good scouting here from both of these teams. Vladimir also a target ban for Gosha, who's a Vladimir one trick. It's not what you see at the LCS level, but it makes sense when you consider that these are what these players are going to be most effective on.
Yeah, interesting Xerath, man. Haven't seen that around. I think Riot kind of just bumped him down to the support role, which kind of sucks. I was a big fan of Xerath prior to his small rework when the original W rooted you to the ground. And in exchange, you had an elongation to the range of your other abilities. It was so cool. But, whatever. Things happen at Riot, right? And the first pick, Caitlyn, coming in from EOD.
Yep, and that's actually something that we see in the meta. This is the kind of thing you've gotten used to in pro play, probably, is seeing the Caitlyn first pick. She is one of the most powerful AD carries in the game. Also a pickup for the EOD AD carry. Now, his name is Irip Buttholes. We're going to say Rip, just so if anyone's curious. It's going to be Rip the rest of the way. It's answered with a pretty standard bot lane.
Yeah, Senna Karma coming in right through. We've seen a lot of Senna and some Karma throughout the professional scene here. Just solid picks so far, and we do see the Thresh locked in for EOD, so bot lanes are already locked in. Unless they want to flex the Karma, which I highly doubt. I think she's more suited towards the support role now, since they did nerf her damage quite a while ago, and we do see the Olaf locked in for EOD.
Yep, and that Olaf is going to be one of Rindo's better picks here. It's just really strong in the jungle as a blind pick. Not the top of the meta once again, but it's a good duelist. He has a good clear speed. He can exert some pressure, and he's kind of versatile because he can go a power farm route and become a big tanky frontliner. That's not really ideal, but you can do it if nothing's happening, and you can just go for the objective game where you solo a couple dragons, take a herald by yourself, and just play PvE League of Legends. Or you can get those axes, get some ganks going. Karma and Senna actually a pretty vulnerable lane when it comes to ganks, so you can get some attention down there.
Yeah, EOD so far kind of setting themselves up for a more, I don't want to say early game centric, but they do have a lot of strong, prominent champions in the early game. Olaf is an obvious one. Caitlyn has a very, dominant laning phase for the most part, unless, against some counter picks here. And I think she should be able to, bully the Senna a bit until she gets her souls stacking up. I do kind of like the Hecarim here. A lot of frontline, especially the dive potential with the Hecarim ult. And now we're in the second phase of bans as we see a lot of mid lane bans coming in through. Kassadin off the table for OGL side, and they go ahead and ban out Corki and Zyra.
Yep, and this looks like an aggressive pinch here from OGL. This is a good way to target someone who doesn't have a fantastic champion pool. Dr. Kennen does not play that many picks, so when you ban the Trist and the Xerath, and then you ban the Corki and the Zyra, we're looking at him picking something like a Kennen as Dr. Kennen or a Syndra, neither of which really super effective picks for him. Kennen just not very strong in the mid lane right now, and Syndra with a 38% win rate in solo queue. If you're OGL, you look at that and you say, if we can get them to pick that champion, we're pretty happy. So that's what they're going with, and oh boy.
Oh man, I guess, like I said, you could have flexed it, and that's what OGL is doing. They're gonna go ahead and lock in the Taric. I'm pretty sure that is gonna be going down to the support role here, and I'm assuming it's going to be Senna. Taric might be fasting Senna, which I'm not sure is relevant anymore. But that's actually interesting. I'm wondering how OGL plan to round out their composition, as EOD locks in the Swain, are about to lock in their last champion for their team comp. And it's going to be very interesting to see what's on the table for this first game for the best of 3 series.
Yep, and interestingly, that is definitely Swain top, and that's a blind pick Swain top. With OGL probably holding on to the counter pick for top lane. We don't know exactly where this Karma is going. It can go between mid and top. Hecarim actually can go top lane in a pinch as well, so they've got a lot of flexibility here. They do know that it's Swain top with the Ahri pick locked in, so they're going to be able to get some lane matchups that they really want. Karma not particularly terrible into either of those champions, so they're going to get a good winning matchup if they choose to do so, and Akali is going to be able to make that happen.
Oh yeah, really nice pickup here from OGL. Now, I do want to pose the question in terms of the laning phase for mid lane. I believe Ahri has a fairly easy time earlier on, since Akali's melee champion, and she's not as prominent as she used to be when she first got reworked. Now the bigger issue is, how does EOD respond to OGL, because their chances of winning seem to diminish as soon as Senna starts to scale, as soon as Taric gets a couple of items to help accentuate his advantages that he provides for them, along with the Hecarim dive. Eventually Olaf is just going to fall off as well. What are your thoughts on that, Cole?
Yeah, I think we see a bit of a scaling advantage here for OGL. Hecarim does scale into mid-late game very well, as does Senna. EOD's scaling is really resting on the back of the Caitlyn and the Swain of all things. Swain, not an amazing champion as far as late game hyper carry goes, but he can do a lot of damage in a team fight when he pops the Crowstorm, pops the Zanyas, and just stands there. The issue is that that's going to be hard countered by the Dazzling Radiance from Taric, just dropping down that invulnerability for everyone on the team. If you have a Swain in the middle of your team, but he's not allowed to do damage, then everything just kind of falls apart for EOD. So execution's going to be tough for them. They've got some things to worry about, but at the same time, they do have a big range advantage, which is something to point out. It's only Senna and Karma as range champions for OGL. You don't expect this Karma to be going a full damage build, so Senna really is going to have to be carrying the bulk of that range threat from OGL. And as she is a squishy, immobile champion, she can be pretty vulnerable against something like a Swain, against an Ahri, against an Olaf or a Thresh. There's lots of abilities that can go and find that Senna. And if Senna dies on OGL's part, then they really struggle to hold ground, to wave clear, and to stay afloat. So though I like their ability to get these late game team fight wins, I'm concerned that if they start falling behind or they get on the back foot, their composition is really going to struggle to get them back into the game.
Yeah. I mean, something to note is, also this is going to be a top lane Karma along with a Akali mid. For those who aren't 100% sure, but I'm sure you guys kind of, did some deductive reasoning. So, 2 AP sort of, I want to say bruiser mages, but I mean, I'm assuming Ethno is going to go into a tank Karma build. So that's going to be something interesting for the side of EOD to deal with. And, my guess here is that EOD needs to at least get the first dragon in this game, have a lot of priority on the bottom side of the map, or else things are going to get a lot messy if things get into control for OGL.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think this is a game that is a little bit on a knife's edge for the start, and I expect that whoever pulls ahead early should have an easy time kind of pressing that lead. Tank Karma is not one of those excellent picks all of the time. It can be a little feast or famine, because if the Karma gets behind and she doesn't really get tanky enough, then she has this issue where she's not doing damage, she doesn't have the AP necessary to give huge shields, and she's not tanky either, so she's just not really doing a whole lot. And you've basically converted your top laner into a support champion that doesn't provide a lot of versatility or utility. And so that can be an issue. But if she gets ahead, and if the Hecarim or the Akali get ahead, there's just so much snowball potential. And unkillable Karma is an issue for EOD. If we see Ethno just getting up there and farming well and avoiding ganks and really punishing this Swain blind pick, it's going to be an issue. So I think I'd agree that just whoever starts with the lead should be striving to carry it to the win.
I don't know if you remember back when Sona Tarek was a thing in LCS, and they would usually draft Hecarim with it. But just imagine, I think it's called Cosmic Radiance, right? Taric ult on top of the Hecarim, like he just gets a free ultimate and no one can kill him because of Cosmic Radiance, and it just sets up a really good initiation for the side of OGL. And that stacked with a Senna ult, like Hecarim is just not going to take damage for the first initial engage of the team fight. And then you have Akali doing some backline work on top of Caitlyn. So, you know, no offense, but this is a lot of pressure for Adam here on the Thresh. You know, he's going to be able to peel for Caitlyn. If Caitlyn dies, then, you know, OGL gets the easiest team fight of their lives, in my opinion.
Yep. And that's going to be the way it goes. You know, it's these two diving champions. And you're right. It's Hecarim with invulnerability going in. He's going to cause a disruption that's going to open the door for Akali to dive in with him. And Senna, of course, is going to be kept alive by the Taric and Karma, who don't need to go in either. So that's the win condition for OGL. But the issue is that that's really the only way they can fight. The only way Akali and Hecarim are ever going to be useful in fights is if they can just go into the middle of the EOD's team composition and go all the way. They need to go deep. They need to get onto this Caitlyn. And when you're ahead, that's like, yeah, great. Like, this is easy. We have this clear execution. But when you're behind, if the only way to fight is to go all in, then that could be a problem, because not being able to poke, not being able to trade means these all-ins fail, and when they fail horribly, because if you can't get the damage done, if you can't get the kills you need, then you just start falling further and further behind because you can't pull off these engages, and then it becomes a disaster. So I think that's what you need to look out for. I think there's a lot to look for on this Hecarim, on this Akali. They're kind of going to be the picks that define OGL success. Whereas on EOD, you know, it's just kind of a composition. There's not a huge unified idea here. There's not a wombo. There's not a grand scaling idea. It's just a lot of picks that they decided they wanted to play. And that can work, you know, if you get ahead early and you snowball the game, then that'll do the trick. So that's, I think, the story of this game. It's who can manage to generate the lead that they need, and can they hold on to it.
With that being said, we are going to go into a short break as we transition onto the Rift, so stick with us, grab a drink, grab something to eat. It could be a best of 3 series going to game 3. You know, maybe it'll be a 2-0. We're not sure yet, but in order to find out, sit down, relax, and enjoy the stream, and we'll be back with you guys shortly. All right, we're back on the Rift for game 1 of the series. EOD on blue side versus OGL on red side. And for those who are just joining us, We are going to go ahead and list out the names of each of the players here. So on top lane, we have Myopia playing Swain into the top lane. Rendo Kobayashi playing Olaf in the jungle. Dr. Kennen playing Ari in the mid lane. Rip playing Caitlyn in the bot lane, along with Adam on the Thresh support to lock it down for the team comp for EOD.
Is this my cue to do the
Yeah,
OGL lineup? That's what it is.
my
That
bad.
was that was a handoff, and I'm supposed to pick up on this. Yes. So
Uh-huh.
for OGL, we have a Therno in the top lane on this Karma top. She has Spellbook. I'm curious, is that going to be tank or is that just going to be like a Karma build? We have OGN on Hecarim in the jungle. We have Gosha on Akali in the mid lane. Rapid Fire on the Senna. A little ironic as Senna fires quite slowly, and Gesture of Time as support on this Taric.
Yeah, so far nothing too cheesy. We did see Hecarim drop a ward, in this push right here near mid lane. Not sure if it's gonna do much. Maybe just in case he gets invaded by Olaf, which can occur. Olaf just loves to do those cheeky invades. But so far, both junglers going to be doing a mirrored start, both starting on their blue buffs. So obviously, this kind of implies not Hecarim, Olaf would be pathing towards the bot lane, maybe looking for a level 3 or 2 gank here.
Yep, and I think that's exactly what you want to be doing as this Olaf. It can be really tough to get a kill onto Akali or Karma. As soon as Kali has that Shroud and Karma has her shield, they're tricky to kill. Karma can zoom away at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and that really gets in the way of what Olaf wants to do, which is slow you down and just walk at you. But the Senna and the Taric, both pretty slow, both pretty vulnerable, so pathing down towards there, trying to blow a couple summoners early, definitely the right idea.
Yep. And, so far in the bot lane, it's seeming okay for Rapid Fire, which I guess makes more sense in hindsight now that, he's able to get some hook, but they need to avoid the hook. Taric does get hooked, but lands the stun on top. They're going to go for a trade, burning the Ignite on top, forcing the flash and the heal from the bot lane of OGL, and a nice trade coming in here for the cost of Rip's flash.
Yep, and that right there is the level 2 power spike. We've all seen it. We've all been victims and the executors of it before. It's just a really potent way to get some early pressure in bot lane. It's really unfortunate. Rip just didn't quite get the trap onto Jester, and I think that was the difference maker there. Had that trap connected after the hook, it probably would have been a kill. Instead, it's just a lot of summoners, and the hooks
beautiful
keep
hook coming
coming.
in. Dazzle does land, looking for more damage. Not sure if they're going to get the kill at all, but if anything, this hinders the Senna's laning phase.
Yeah, 2 good trades like that back to back, especially when the heal is already burned, is going to mean that this bot lane is dangerous for OGL. They are at risk of getting put very far behind here, especially when, as we said, OGN path towards the top lane. So there's no jungle help coming anytime soon, and the Olaf is down there as well. So they're just going to have to play safe and respectfully. They step on a trap, they eat a little too much damage, and they're going to have to recall and miss out on some farm and XP. So 2 good trades. We'll see if EOD can convert that into a meaningful lead with the gold score or with some experience if they can keep exerting pressure.
Yeah, I mean, OGN's playing on the top side of the map here, as we do see a 3-man gang coming in on top of Gosha. Is going to try to escape. Might need to... Oh, does have the smoke stream, but gets hooked by Adam. A beautiful hook is able to save the gang from failing. And that's going to be first blood going straight over to Window. Beautiful job coming out from EOD squad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think they decided that they wanted to get the kill onto the Ahri. She is the best champion to try and get that first blood gold onto. Unfortunately, with Dr. Kennen on the other side of the wall and Gosha still having flash available, Rindo just says, you know what? Rather than risk it, let's just make sure we secure this kill. First blood is more valuable than burning the Akali's flash, so they do pick that up, and you take those. It's first blood, it's a wave denied, it's some extra experience, and an Olaf starting to snowball.
Oh, yeah. And I think it's the cost of a little bit of XP, but that shouldn't be too bad for Adam. He does get caught by the Senna Snare, but, he's going to take a bit of damage as punishment. But overall, the laning seems to be fairly even for the bottom side of the map here. I mean, Rapid Fire is not doing too bad, despite, getting a lot of pressure earlier on.
Yep,
so
here comes Hecarim.
Yep, OGN is on his way, pops the Ghost, going to look for the Caitlyn. Maybe trying to interrupt the Lantern, not going to be able to do that at all, but the Snare lands! Nicely done. I don't think they're going to get the damage off in time. And that's going to be a lot of return damage, and Rapid Fire is in danger here. Needs to be careful, as they should be making their escape, but they're taking a lot of punishment damage here from Rip.
Yeah, and that's just a slightly too eager gank. They don't get any summoners, and I think OGL actually loses more health than EOD does, just because they ended up underneath the turret, tanking it up a little too much. Rapid fire, stepped on a trap just inside turret range, and nearly paid with his life for it. So well played by EOD to counter the gank. An excellent lantern from Adam, and just a little too much commitment from OGL. But at least they get to stay. Senna does have that sustain. She can slowly heal up with the piercing darkness, so that's going to make sure that they don't have to pay too sorely for that mistake.
Yeah, I mean, you do have Tarek heal. She is a bit low on mana to even use her Q for that heal, but so far, as long as they're avoiding the hooks here, they should be in good hands. And looking over on the top side of the map, Ethno getting a lot of momentum. Was struggling earlier on, if we saw earlier. It should be backing out with a bit of a CS lead, so things seem to be going on track for the tank Karma.
Yep, and that's kind of what you want to see if you're OGL, is making sure that this Swain doesn't get ahead. That could be scary. And so, we do know now that this Karma, I mean, not sure if it's a tank. It's not a Spirit Visage. It's going to be an Athene's. It's a bit more supportive. We might be expecting to see just an Ardent Sensor and a Redemption coming in next. You can get to all those support items very quickly with the solo laner's income. So I would expect that with the Athenes, that's probably where we're going. But these items are going to make sure that Karma can stay afloat versus a Swain, get some AP for wave clear, get a little bit of MR to avoid dying to his damage, and having that lane going well is really big for OGL, and Etherno being able to keep going is just going to be a huge success for them.
Yeah, and mid lane's fairly even as well, which is surprising considering, Akali's playing into this. Does get the Shuriken on top. Not sure if they're going to go for the trade here, but things are starting to slow down despite Dragon being up here, as we do see Ethno engaging on top of the Swain. Myopia needs to be somewhat careful here, and we do see the bottom side of the map positioning around the first Drake, which is going to be Mountain.
Yep, and at some point this Drake does need to go down. EOD has priority in top lane, in mid lane, in bot lane right this moment, and that does make it a perfect time for Rendo to decide, all right, I'm going to go start this Dragon. The issue, OGN in top lane.
Ooh, yep, OGN's here, puts the tent up, and going to force the Swain ultimate out, but that's not going to do anything to help his case. Myopia going down from OGN. And a nice return kill, trying to even up the gold here, which is a bit struggling. Dazzle does land on top of the Thresh, forcing the flash from Senna, though, as Olaf secures the Dragon, is pathing towards bot lane, maybe looking for a dive. Caitlyn gets snared, needs to be careful from the Senna damage, pops a lot of damage to the heal going through, and Rapid Fire drops from Adam's Ignite, and now they're looking towards Jester, gets the kill on Thresh, misses the Dazzle, and is forced to hide under his turret, but Olaf's on his way, taking a lot of damage, might be trading the kills here, and wasting the flash here. A nice, pretty even trade here coming out for the side of OGL.
Yep, and now we see something dirty as Myopia walking into lane where Hecarim still is.
Oh, gets the flash, goes straight under turret. I mean, nice pressure from OGN, right? Burns the flash, and that's kind of the tax right there, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure that's worth it. I think Swain Flash probably a little less valuable than getting a jump start on counter jungling and taking the Herald. It's only a summoner spell, whereas Herald can just be so much more valuable. That's a lot of time wasted for OGN. And I honestly, I don't think that was worth it at all. I think
and
really
Adam's going to run into OGN as well. Does land a hook. This man has not missed a single hook, I think. And nicely done, Dr. Kennen. Going to be able to pick up the kill. First kill of the game for the mid laner on the side of EOD.
Yeah, and that's just an overstay from OGN. You needed to get that kill top lane, go take the Herald and recall. Instead, we see the sit in a bush and do nothing for 30 seconds while waiting for Myopia to walk back to lane. They get a flash, but then he has to pay for his life because he just tries to take the Gromp, but it's way too late to do that. And that means that EOD is going to keep exerting pressure. I didn't get to talk about the kills in the bot lane. It was a little unfortunate that Rindo had to waste flash, but still, it's kills onto these more carry-oriented champions, and if you can trade a kill onto Olaf for a kill onto Tarek, you take that every time if you're EOD. So I think overall that play works out for them just a little bit.
I mean, EOD's ahead in goal, which is what we said in before the game started, that's what they needed to happen, especially with this Caitlyn, who doesn't have a kill in yet, but she does have some items under her belt. Adam missing the hook horribly, but does pop the box, trapping in Jester while Caitlyn's trying to 1v1 the Senna. Not looking too good as they focus Jester. Meanwhile, mid lane, a lot of damage on top of Gosha. Lands a charm on top. Nicely done from Kennen and should be able to get the solo kill. But here comes OGN, able to trying to save the day. Should get the return kill. Red buff is ticking, might be able to get it. OGN gets the kill. Meanwhile, bot lane, things are looking kind of messy, but Rindo saves the day. Patches the bandage and is able to save the 2v2 in favor for EOD. As we do see Myopia popping the Swain ultimate, is looking to maybe pop it on top of Ethno, walking away. Meanwhile, getting drained, lands the snare, nicely done. And Never Move should cause this Karma to get a lot of damage out, but unfortunately, Myopia only sitting on a Catalyst. I don't think that's going to provide enough damage for him there, but nice trade out, forcing the recall from Karma. Should be able to get some plates, I think.
Yep, and importantly is while that fight's happening top lane, it means Karma just can't come down to help out this bottom lane. And that means that they don't have to worry about that on the tail end of this play. They push with the Herald to get the turret, though it looks like this might be a bit of an overstay until the Lantern. Wow.
Yeah, beautiful Lantern coming out from Adam. Playing very well as we do see Gosha running down. Doesn't even have ultimate actually, but still gonna go for the fight here as Caitlyn is trapped between rapid fire and should be going down there eventually as Gosha gets the shutdown on top of Olaf. Nice, this is a 3-for-0 in favor of OGL. Huge turnaround. EOD kind of dropping the ball there.
Yeah, and I mentioned, it was Myopia going for that play, made sure that Eterno could not teleport. Except then when Eterno recalled and teleported in, that was the issue for EOD. They needed to respect that Karma teleport more. They didn't. It was a good punish from OGL, seeing that they could get that flank teleport off with that ward. And as soon as Karma showed up, that play was going to be a disaster for EOD. And OGL able to clean that one up super easy. Just another overstay here, pushing it a little too hard, and OGL realizing that and capitalizing on it. So well played by them.
Yeah, I mean, this game's going back and forth. EOD still has a gold lead, but I think the next Dragon's definitely going to determine the tempo and who has control of this game. As a nice bit of damage from Dr. Kennen going on top of Gosha. Going to be able to force him to go back there.
Yep, and you see this Ahri just really starting to exert some pressure in this lane. The range advantage wasn't a huge deal early on, but now that the GLP is completed and all of these abilities are starting to do a lot of damage, it can be tough as an Akali shoved under turret to try and wave clear. The good news is that we're kind of exiting the laning phase here. You can start to send the Senna mid to answer these things. You don't need to force that Akali into a matchup that can be tough, and that means that it's not going to be too big of a detriment. But we do see EOD setting up for the Dragon. OGL not quite in position. Looks like they're thinking about it. You can see OGN walking down towards it and changed his mind, instead going into his red side jungle. So I think that Dragon should just be EOD's.
Yeah, I guess they want to give it up. They do have all ultimates on deck for it. Maybe they didn't want to gamble for it. Not a lot of item breakpoints on their side. Meanwhile, Olaf should be able to solo that as they apply pressure mid lane. And Ahri going to be on the bottom side of the map here. And that, just like that, 2 Dragons for free going straight over to EOD as predicted. Nice. You get your Olaf, that's kind of Olaf's job, right? Gets the first 2 Dragons typically. And from then on, you're just kind of hoping your team has enough gold resources to, allow you to win, right?
Yeah, and it's what you can do as this Olaf. It's been a success, You're starting to pressure Soul. I think it's a good call from OGL not to contest as well, because they are a little behind here. If you get 5-for-0 wiped or hard lose a team fight on that Dragon, it can turn this game into a snowball. But when they know that they have this scaling advantage, they can try to play for a little later on in the game. No reason to throw the game for a second Dragon. They're just going to take it slow. Play it chill. That Dragon, not a huge threat, because the first Dragon was taken relatively late. The Soul isn't going to be coming online too early, so they say, you know what, we'll just keep farming for now.
Yeah, I mean, nothing too bad for the side of OGL. They still have a shot.
Ooh.
Hook not going to land, but I don't think they wanted to get that hook anyways, They're still under turret. They don't have much to dive with other than the Olaf, but it wasn't nearby, so... as long as they're applying pressure, I would kind of hope that they break this middle turret soon. It opens up a lot of opportunity for the Olaf to starve this Hecarim in his own jungle. That's kind of the goal here. And, without that mid turret still being up, doesn't allow them to have that, privilege. As you do see OGN hovering near his wolves, maybe looking for more. But I think for the most part, everyone just kind of wants a farm right now.
Yeah, and this is kind of the issue for EOD is that they want to be pushing a lead, they want to be extending it, growing it as much as they can, but with no objectives available, Herald is down, they've already taken Dragon. There's just not a lot to do, and they're not going to force a dive, so they just have to sit back and let OGL play towards this farm condition, you know? They're just going to keep going. The Karma's getting stronger, the Athene's is complete, the Hecarim has the Triforce, the Kali has the Gunblade, so big item breakpoints coming in for OGL. They're starting to reach a point where they can fight back despite the gold deficit. And EOD is going to need to find a way to push their lead harder pretty soon, or else they're going to be in danger.
Yeah, interesting. As you do see, Rindo does have the Center Hulk item completed for jungle, but he is building a Black Cleaver. What are your thoughts on that, Cole?
Black Cleaver is an option. If you have a lot of physical damage and you need to shred it, it can do that. I don't love it on Olaf especially because he has true damage on his E. So
Yeah.
you're building armor pen and armor shred for a champion that doesn't benefit from it nearly as much, but it can still be a good team buy if you're saying we want to shred this armor so that Rip can do some more damage. I want the CDR and the health. I want the AD. It's not a gold inefficient item, and the passive isn't going to go totally to waste, so though not an ideal
Beautiful
pickup,
charm. Might be getting the pick. A huge Acromalt buying some time for the Cosmic Radiance to save Taric. Nicely done. They both trade ultimates there. Ari ultimate down, the box down, along with Cosmic Radiance with the Hecarim ult. So, you know, only ultimates traded, no lives down. Caitlyn ult not going to quite get the kill yet, but they should be able to get mid-turret here.
Yep.
And
Rindo
Olaf's
in
got in a
trouble, though.
horrible position, forced to flash and take the Lantern as Akali dives into the back line, looking for Caitlyn, looking for someone to get the kills. The TP comes in from Ethiopia, a huge flank, but the side of EOD is dropping like flies as they collapse on top of the Ahri. Caitlyn's in a horrible position, trapped by 3 members of OGL. The snare going through, and Senna gets another kill for themselves as Myopia tries to get the kill, gets rapid fire, now looking towards the Taric, but takes the Lantern away. Nice hook from Adam, able to get some damage on top. Oh, Gosha so low, gets the Karma, is looking for the Akali. W might be able up, not back up enough along the way, but that fight went back and forth to the side of EOD and OGL.
Yeah, and it was OGL engaging before Myopia could get into the fight, and that was the big thing for them. Because the Swain wasn't there, they were able to run over the fight, get some kills easy. It was not all that risky. And then, of course, once the Swain showed up, he's staring down a bunch of champions with half health and no ultimate, so it's a field day for him. Unfortunately, because he is so immobile and slow, he's not able to completely clean up the fight, but Myopia does get a couple kills. Just, you know, to make sure it's not a total disaster for EOD. They do end up getting the mid turret. They do trade 2 for 3, down 1 kill overall. Not a disaster for them, despite how bad that fight started.
Yeah, they still maintain the gold lead, as you said. You know, and yeah, for that being a reason, you know, so far things aren't so bad for EOD. The fight was kind of like trading blows, but with that being said, we haven't put on pause. Not sure how long it's going to be. At this point, you know, we're just going to go ahead and cut to break. You know, shouldn't be too long. Yeah, we must respect the competitive integrity for both teams here. So we will be cutting towards break. It won't be for too long. Hopefully, I hope you guys understand that and stick with us as we hope to resolve the issue soon.
Yep.
And we'll be back shortly.
It's just a computer restart, so we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Is that all you've got to say?
All right, we're back. Like I said, it was going to be a short break. Thank you for understanding. For the sake of competitive integrity, back into the game, neck and neck between EOD and OGL. What is going on with your through your mind, Cole?
Just that, I mean, we're kind of in this mid-game state where Baron's not on the table. You've got another dragon spawning soon. If EOD gets it, it puts them on soul point. He seems to have to be thinking about objectives. We've got a bit of a turret lead here. That top turret can go down soon. So if you're EOD, those are the things on your mind. We want to force the issue of soul. We want to force the issue of that easy to knock down top turret. We want to really start to take over this game because they need to convert their small gold lead now into something that they can really run away with, or else they're going to be in trouble getting outscaled. And OGL, on the other hand, they don't want to give up things for free. They want to slow this game down a little more. They want to try and keep EOD from doing what they want to do. Hold on to that turret. Deny this dragon if they can. We've got both teams in the area fighting over a blue buff and the dragon, so we'll see who's able to get those.
Yeah, now they're doing the traditional dragon dance, as we all know and love. Nice bit of poke coming out from Kennen. Gonna get a lot of damage through, but the Senna heal gonna negate that. Beautiful hook from Adam, pops the box, a huge initiation as Akali gets into the backline. Kaelin's doing a lot of damage, double kill for Rindo, and now they're turning their heads towards Akali. Goshen needs to be careful. Oh, the Kaelin almost getting the kill, and Swain should get the shutdown. A huge collapse from EOD, all set up from Adam's one hook on top of Ethno.
Yep, and the issue for OGL there is that Jester of Time just didn't quite have the Cosmic Radiance. It came available a couple seconds after he went down, so they got engaged on before they had that key defensive tool, and when we see the Hecarim and the Akali diving in, but without that Turret 4 protection, it's not going to work. They don't have the damage, they don't have the invulnerability, and that's a disaster for OGL. They just forced the issue a little too impatiently. They were not the stronger team at that moment, and then they got engaged on. That means they're going to lose the dragon, they're going to lose 4 kills, they're going to lose their bot inner turret, the top turret falls down during that, and what was a small lead for EOD is now becoming concerning. They're on soul point, they're at 5.5k gold, they're dangerous, and they can start looking to really close out this game with Baron coming up soon.
Yeah, like you said earlier, you don't want to get on soul point, but OGL cannot get that third dragon now. Huge advantage from the side of EOD. They have soul point. They have a 5k gold lead 20 minutes in, which is huge. So things are starting to look very slim in terms of OGL finding success, but that's the thing with pre-made unstoppable. Nothing is impossible,
Yep, I think the one thing I want to highlight there is just that OGL kind of forced that fight when they didn't have to. Soul point isn't soul. It's bad, right? Because it means that you're forced to respect the dragon for the rest of the game. But if you force yourself to respect the dragon earlier already, then you're not really solving the problem. When you don't have that Taric ultimate, you don't need to take that fight. You should say, you know what? We don't have our key engage and team fight tool available. This is not the ideal fight. We should probably try and just wait. And instead, they don't do that, and it means that not only do they give up the dragon and end up on soul point anyway, but they give up a lot of gold and pressure in the process.
Yeah, and looking at builds so far, specifically top lane, Myopia has that Leandries, has that Rhoda almost fully stacked, and then you look at Karma, has Ardent, which, is okay, right? But I don't think Senna, puts as much good use of it compared to other bot lane carries. Doesn't have the fastest attack speed. It's okay, right?
I would say it's downright bad.
Yeah,
I'll say it for you.
I was trying to be nice, but I think maybe a Spirit Vestige would have been a lot better here. Maybe some armor, a Randuin's into the Caitlyn crit. Anything really. I think Ardent kind of tunnels Ethno into being this, huge carry or support for the Senna. When Senna is doing okay, right? She's just stacking the Manamune. Don't think she really needs the Ardent sensor buff anytime soon.
Yeah, and I think the issue isn't that you're being supportive. I think the issue is that you're being supportive in the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's not that a support build Karma top is a bad thing. It's actually kind of what OGL's team composition needs. It's that instead of Ardent Sensor, that should be a Redemption, that should be a Mikhail's, or if you wanted to get some more damage and wave clear just to be an extra threat, you could just build a Ludens, because with more AP comes a bigger shield and a more effective support. So I think that item in particular is a mistake. If you want to go support, there are other items available, and I don't think being supportive is wrong. It's just you need to make sure you're picking effective items when you're doing.
And then, you know, so far, still going to be farming up until Baron spawns. Baron is actually up, my bad. But for the most part, I don't think EOD is looking to really force it. I guess they just want better waves. You know, their waves are looking okay, not terrible.
Yeah,
Maybe...
it's just hard to take a Baron this early. You do have a Caitlyn. She is on 2 items, so it's not like they do it unbearably slowly. But a 22, 23-minute Baron is early. It is going to be hard to kill. It is going to take a while. It is going to chunk your health bars. And really, you kind of need to win a fight before you try and go for it, unless you have like the ideal champions for melting it down as quickly as possible. And not that Caitlyn doesn't have DPS, it's just not her absolute strength relative to something like an Aphelios with 20 stacked up chakrams who can just do insane damage, or a Kai'Sa, or something like that that just gets this big max health damage. Caitlyn just doing raw crit output. And that means that they do need to respect the Baron a little more. Of course, you can start setting up vision, you can start denying it. They're doing the right thing here. They're denying jungle camps as well as they can by Hopius snacking the blue buff from Dr. Cannon. But
yeah. And I think they're just going to go ahead and play for Soul. Kind of want to force the hands of OGL. Says, okay, this is the fight we want, because you need to have a response for this, right? You either give us Soul and the inevitable happens, or you fight and you try to make sure we don't get Soul, right? So fight's going to be coming up soon. Nice hook coming out from Adam. They don't quite want to come in. Yeah, they burn the Cosmic Radiance, but in goes Hecarim on top of the Olaf. Not the Caitlyn, and meanwhile Miyobi is trying to build some distance for his team as Rindo kills down the Hecarim, and now the Kali dives back in. He's going to get taken out from the Caitlyn. A beautiful team fight coming out from EOD as Senna is trying to fight her way out, but a double kill goes out for the Miyobi top laner, and now they're looking for Soul.
Yep, and it's just a good fight from EOD. OGL tried what they could. They got the engage in, the Hecarim and the Akali dove in as hard as they could. They had the Terracult on top of them, but unfortunately, they're just a little too far behind. It's a catch-22. You go in and you lose the fight, or you don't go in, you lose Soul. They try it. It was a noble attempt, but they weren't able to pull it off. They didn't get the damage they needed. They couldn't get on top of the Caitlyn, and the Swain didn't go down in the front line. So with all of that going EOD's way, that means they do pick up the Infernal Soul. They're going to focus on the the Baron next, but OGN is here, and this Baron's not going down too fast, so they're going to have to back off.
They don't want to take too much damage, especially. So they're going to go ahead and back out. Did burn the cleanse from Ethnos, but that doesn't really matter. She has sealed spellbook, so you know, nothing much is happening at this moment on. They're going to get their reset that they probably needed for a while now, and going to see what Rip is going to build here.
Yeah, this is unfortunate as well, is something OGL could hypothetically do here as well. EOD, they all recalled right next to the Baron, and that leaves Baron vulnerable. The issue OGL has the Senna, and they just can't melt the Baron down fast enough. With a different AD carry and the whole team there, you can make a coordinated call to go for the Baron, but they're not able to do so with their team composition. And unfortunately, EOD gets away with that group recall when everyone's right on Baron.
Yeah, I guess that's bound to happen. And you know, Kaylin gonna opt for the Zeal, which I think is really huge for her. Does have, you know, their third Zeal item coming up, or second Zeal item. My apologies. So. Really good position for Rip, despite only having 1 kill. Still does a ton of damage to the backline of OGL, right?
Yeah, and it's just every headshot is going to do a ton. Especially with this Infernal Soul, you're amplified up your AD, and if you just poke them once, then it's going to come with just that extra little zip that the Infernal Soul gives you. And that makes Caitlyn a menace. She does have the most range in the game. She is a long-range threat, but we've got to fight for this Baron here.
Yeah, Slow coming out, but the Kali from the backline gets ripped! And now this fight looks possible for OGL. They're trying to commit, trying to buy some time. Cannon drops as well. 2 of the main carries are down here. A 3-0 in favor of OGL. This is quite what they needed. The snare lands. The flash from Neo not going to be enough. Pops the Swain ultimate as Cosmic Radiance goes out. Trying to buy some time. The Lantern going through, but the shutdown coming in for the Hecarim. Still able to pick up the kill, and now it's just Adam, and Adam gets decimated. They thought you cannot break an Adam, but we just saw it get ripped apart from the side of OGL.
Yep, and it's just like that fight we saw in mid lane earlier, where it's the 5v4 from OGL. The Hecarim and the Akali go in, but this time the difference maker is that there is no Swain forcing the Senna, the Taric, and the Karma back. And so when they're able to follow up on that engage immediately, the fight goes so much worse for EOD. It goes so much better for OGL. They're able to get all of the kills up front. And this time, the Swain teleport in delayed does not clean up the kills in time. So that's going to be a Baron for OGL. They get the clean 5-0 ace and a Baron, and they turn this game right back around. And if you're EOD now, you're thinking, uh-oh.
Yeah, so this is the issue that, is kind of in the hands of EOD now, is that Cosmic Radiance on top of the Hecarim, who has the Triforce completed, does a lot of damage when he dives in with the Onslaught of Shadows. Backed up by Rapid Fire on the Senna, makes it so easy for them to engage, and this puts a lot of pressure on Adam, requiring that he needs to peel for Rip. If Rip gets caught in any of those fights, they automatically lose. We just saw that happen. And interesting
This
position.
looks like a dead Karma.
Yeah, and that's going to be the Flash burnt down as well. So, we take those, right?
Yeah, I mean, kill's a kill. It's going to stall out the Baron pressure. I don't think OGL were looking to do much with this Baron anyway. I think it's more of a denial Baron where you take it and you say, all right, like having this Baron means EOD doesn't, so we can keep wave clearing and stall out a little longer. A death really makes sure that that's all they're going to do with it. They still haven't been able to knock down a single turret this game, and if they keep going down with picks like that, that's going to keep being the case. So unfortunate, but not the end of the world. We now see EOD starting to sit in this bottom side river. It looks like they're turning their attention to the Elder Dragon.
Yeah, Elder Dragon should be the next pickup here for the side of EOD. I want to say it possibly could be checkmate if they get it, but I don't want to jump the gun. What are your thoughts on that, Cole?
Yeah, I mean, Elder Dragon is scary, right? It's one of those buffs that's just visceral. You see and you're like, wow, that's scary. Like I get down to 1/5 HP and I just die. It's not unbeatable, and I think just going off of the fight that we saw at Baron, if you repeated that fight with EOD having an Elder Dragon, nothing changes. I think everyone stayed alive for OGL. They just get the clean engage, they get the kills up front. And that's kind of the power of their composition, is that if you can start the fight and pick up the kills at the start of the fight, you don't really lose much health. And so that's a concern, but if EOD plays it right, if the Swain is actually there to start the fight off, then it can be a problem. The nice thing about Elder Dragon, though, is that it does leave you vulnerable to wave clear. I don't think EOD can dive. I don't think they can force fights themselves. I think they really kind of need to wait for OGL to go in on them.
Onslaught of Shadows on top of the Caitlyn. Beautiful Lantern from Adam as they're trying to peel from the Caitlyn. Senna ult does a lot of damage as Akali gets a kill. Rip goes down. Ghost is now on the backline on top of the Thresh. Meanwhile, Swain ult is trying to buy enough time for the side of EOD. Pops it. There's a lot of damage. Rindo takes out Jester. Now they're turning towards Akali. Ghost just goes down. Now it's just OGN on the run. Ethno does take down the Swain as well. Trades are going down blow for blow. Ari's trying to finish off the Hecarim, but the Senna heals too much, and Adam is at least trying to kill the jungler, but it's going to be an ace going in for OGL as they turn towards the Elder Drake.
Yeah, and it's just another fight win for OGL. They get to engage again. They do the exact same thing. It's just OGN and Gocha flying in onto Rip every single fight, and there's just not enough heal. Even with the fantastic Lantern from Adam, even with Rip burning Flash and heal to get himself to safety, that only gets him out of the Hecarim, and then when Gocha follows up and goes into the assassination as well, it is a kill again. And with Caitlyn down, the sustained damage just isn't there for EOD, and that makes the fight basically an automatic win for OGL. They're able to pick up the Elder Dragon. They've now gotten a Baron and an Elder Dragon back-to-back. The gold lead has shrunk back down to 1K, and with their composition being so much better at this point in the game, I think they are looking to start pushing, start picking up all the static gold on the map, and try and turn this game around.
Yeah, so EOD went from being in a very comfortable position to where now they're in a position in the game where it looks like Rapid Fire is starting to outscale. Should be actually outscaling. The Caitlyn is up 2 levels. Does have the rank 3 on the ultimate, which is huge for Senna.
Yeah, and just, I mean, everything's kind of working their way. You can see this Karma providing so much value. You know, we criticize the Ardent Sensor, but though it's not perfect, it does still do a lot for you. It does give you the extra heal and shield power. And that attack speed, or the attack speed steroid and on hit damage, though it's not amazing on Senna alone, when you're able to do the Mantra E and get a shield on everyone on your goodbye, Dr. Kennen.
Oh, Rapid Fire gets a pick from downtown. That was very cheeky. Continue, my bad.
Yeah, as we were saying before, the Ari just got exploded. When you have that on everyone on your team, it can provide some serious value. At this point, this could
I think
almost
this could be a game. Yeah.
This is an Elder Dragon team that has outscaled. They're pushing. They're knocking down turrets left and right. They're the stronger team. The Ari is dead for another 25 seconds. EOD need to do whatever they can to hold on.
Yeah, Cosmic Radiance going through. They're trying to burn down the Hecarim, but at this point, things are looking very bleak for the side of EOD as the down goes Adam, bursted down from the Senna, gets her revenge. I think she gets the in-game mission now too. Nicely done as Miopia trying to run away, pops the ultimate. Should be. Why did he pull her back in? She was out of range. Oh no. Miopia just caused himself to death. Rapid Fire gets another kill. And that should be game one going towards OGL. A huge swing. Going from the brink of extinction to finding their way out from the depths of defeat. And now they're looking towards the Nexus turrets, trying to dive, going on top of the Olaf. And Rendo's going to go down. Rapid Fire is legendary on this Senna.
Yep, and this is close. I think they actually are going to back off for now, with Rip coming back alive. They've just picked up like 7,000 gold as a team. So backing off to take an objective and recall is actually the safe play here. It makes sure that you can spend all of the gold in your pockets. You've got 3,000 gold on the Senna and no less than 1,300 on anyone else on OGL. So they say, you know, we can all pick up at least half an item. Our Senna can pick up a full item. We don't need to try to force this issue right now. They're going to go to Baron. EOD is here for the contest. And if there's a way for them to come back in the game, it's going to be right here. Never mind.
Yeah, that's a dead Caitlyn. Basil lands on top. Gosha picks up the kill. Meanwhile, Ocean's on the back line. They shred him through, and
oh no.
Yeah. This is like 18 plus stuff happening on the screen right now. Like,
ooh.
Yeah, kids need to turn off their eyes, bro. This is not okay for them to see.
I was hyping up. I'm like, you know, this is their chance, and then Rip dies.
Yeah, like it just hurts to watch if you're EOD. Like, this is a huge tilter. What do you think is going through their minds as they're going to go through game 2? You know, this game's practically over.
Yeah, I mean, it's not practically. It is over, my friend.
Yeah.
We've got 4 people dead. Minions at the Nexus turrets. OGL do close it out with that last team fight win. You got to start looking towards game 2. What can you do differently? What went wrong? How did we lose this game? I think we saw the Swain coming into fights a little too late. We saw a Caitlyn that didn't itemize defensively enough to deal with a Hecarim and an Akali. And with those two things going wrong for them in a couple back-to-back fights, that was all it took for this scaling composition from OGL to take over and turn the game right around.
Yeah, definitely. And man, you know, game 1 going straight over to OGL, but if you're EOD, you are mauling, right, Cole?
Yeah, that's a pretty tilting loss. You know, you're up by 5k gold. You pick up the soul. And you're like, all right, we're up a lot of gold, and we have all 4 dragons and an infernal soul. We should win this game. We have a Caitlyn. And then you lose. Like as soon as they got the soul, they stopped winning, which is kind of the opposite of what you expect. So yeah, I mean, that's upsetting. You're not supposed to lose once you get the soul. You're supposed to say, okay, good game, we win. We have a dragon soul. So a lot to think about, a lot to adjust. Hopefully they can bounce back in game 2, or maybe hopefully for OGL, they can just close out this series and assert themselves early on as a favorite to advance into the actual playoffs here.
Yeah, and you know, I just got, you know, news from a buddy of mine. It makes so much sense why OGL have the clutch factor. They're coached by the one and only, I don't know if you heard of him, Kovecki, aka Cole, another Cole in the world of amateur scene. And this makes so much sense. This guy's brain is so big. So, you know, EOD got to really pull the ace in the hole if they want to come back in game 2. So, you know, hoping to see whether or not they can maybe push it for game 3. But as you said, OGL looked pretty strong. They played to their win condition of late game. They were getting tossed around. Caitlyn got Soul, Infernal Soul, which is never good, like you said. But man, any
Well,
closing thoughts before we cut to break, Cole?
I think there are some easy fixes to what we saw from EOD's side, and I think easy fixes for OGL as well. If they don't contest that third dragon, that game is a lot easier for them because we saw what their composition could do a little later if they just waited, and they showed it off. So I think if we see them play a little more patiently, they have the chance to absolutely steamroll game two. If EOD can fix the issues of not fighting with their whole team, then maybe they can try and snowball a little harder next time. But with that said, we're going to go to a quick break while we wait for everyone to get into lobby for game two. We'll be back in just a few moments.